Hey, Laura.
Hey, David, I got my podcast pants on. I'm ready to roll.
Ready to roll. I'm so excited. We're back.
Me too.
Glennon Factor's back. You know what else I'm excited about?
What's that?
You know, I hope it's not lost on people, but all of these stories that we have been so privileged to bring to our listeners, everybody who has chosen to support Cardinal Glennon Children's Hospital through us, the foundation, they would not be possible without the community taking the time and the energy and the resources to support the hospital building, all of the things that the hospital needs, the care, the treatment, the protocols, the things that will make the experience better for our patients. And I just love that we get to bring these stories to the people by getting the actual people who are experiencing and doing the work here in the studio to tell the story.
And, I think if you support Cardinal Glennon, sometimes you fall into two buckets, right? You have people who have had an experience here. They really, value the work that we do and they support it for that reason. Or you have a life where you've never needed Cardinal Glennon, right? And you hope you never do.
Right.
And you support it for that reason, to support any of the patients and families who might need it. And, that's something that is our reality every day at the hospital. No one who's in the hospital wants to be there. For the most part, their journeys there are unanticipated, unexpected, and they've landed in France and don't know French. And we have this crazy pair on today as our first guest to start our new season that is just this great example of that whole circle. We have Dr. Maggie Cupit-Link, who's one of our Cardinal Glennon oncologists, and we have Adam Brandt, who is a teenage patient going through a cancer journey. Both of them had an unexpected, life-altering diagnosis as teenagers.
They were both, the same time period.
Yeah.
She was 19, he's 13, now 14.
Yeah.
And so
she went through her experience, right? And she did a lot of processing of that, still continues to process it as she goes through life, right? But Adam's actively going through it right now, and she's his doctor. And so I just think it'll be really interesting to explore that whole gamut of feelings of what happens when this diagnosis enters your life, and how does it make you pivot, and what is the grief, and what is the loss, and what are the anxieties, and what are the fears, and how does life change? And I think I expect it to be kind of raw and vulnerable, and they're both very open. I think she's got this crazy, unique, intuitive sense about her as a physician now as she goes about treating her patients. And Adam has that benefit of her having had an experience, not the same, but in a similar realm, right? And
the perspective is going to be paramount for his care.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm excited to get them in here and listen and learn from them.
Well, let's get them in.
Well, welcome, you two. We are so excited to have you, Dr. Maggie and Adam. I would like, than to introduce you, I would love it if you guys kind of introduced yourself, and then we'll get into some storytelling.
You go first.
So my name's Adam Brandt. I'm 14 years old, and yeah.
And yeah. And
I'm Maggie. My patients call me Dr. Maggie. I am 34. Starting to forget my age. I'm 34 years old, and I am a mother, and I'm a cancer survivor.
And I love that you said you're 34. I'm not going to say how old I am, and
yeah,
that's
they're
okay.
Just numbers.
No one cares about my age anyway. So, David and I were talking before you guys got here and sat on the couch about what an interesting circle you represent. Up at the hospital, I think it goes without saying that nobody wants to be at Cardinal Glennon, right? It's not in the life plan for anybody to be there. But when you get there and you have an experience, it really doesn't matter what it is. It changes you forever, and it changes your perspective about things. So you guys are this kind of crazy representation of the whole cycle, right? Because Dr. Maggie, you went through a pivotal life journey, and you've had some time beyond that to grow through that and process that a little bit. I'm sure you're still processing that in many different ways. And Adam, you are in the middle of your journey, but you're starting it out kind of at a rough time frame, kind of like when Dr. Maggie did. So you're representing this kind of full cycle of experiencing healthcare and how it changes you. And we just thought it would be very interesting to get both of your perspectives on what it's like to have been through something, to be going through something, and just kind of how it changes you. So that's what we're going to be talking about today with two of the best people that can talk about that. And you have an interesting relationship. So what is your relationship? I know, but if you can kind of share with everybody else.
How would you describe us, Adam?
Well, patient and doctor, of course, and connected from cancer, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. And I would say friends.
For sure.
I honestly feel like Adam and his mom and family, I feel like they're family members at this point. I feel like we've gotten to know each other so well, and Adam through really hard times for him, and that whenever I see him and his mom in clinic, I'm just excited to catch up with them because it feels like they're home for me too now.
So we're going to start at the beginning. So I want to kind of hear both of your stories and what your healthcare journey is. And so it's a lot. You both have some significant journeys, and we're going to kind of encapsulate it a little bit if we can. But Dr. Maggie, let's start with you.
So I was diagnosed with Ewing sarcoma when I was 19, and I had to take a year out of college to be treated. That was a very difficult time because I had just been selected to do a research project. I was in school in Memphis, Tennessee at a small college called Rhodes College, and I'd been selected to do cancer research at St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, which people are familiar with because they treat primarily childhood cancer. So I was very excited because this was one of these very competitive things. I'm a very competitive nerd sort. I'm not sure Adam would have wanted to be my friend if we met if we were in high school together or college together, but I accepted that position, and then right before I started, I ended up getting diagnosed with childhood cancer myself and having to put my life on hold. At the time of my life, that really felt like finally I had found myself. I was living the dream. People thought I was cool just because I was being myself. That hadn't really happened before, and I was like living my life finally to the fullest, and then bam. So then I was a patient, and it was a very, very long year, but I was able to survive it. And I think in part because of the children around me that really inspired me and made me feel hope and resilience, that I knew that, once I knew I was going to live, I thought, well, then this is what I have to come back to. This is going to be what I do with my life. So I've been really lucky and blessed and all the things in order to not just survive, but also get to meet my career goals and get to do what I want with my life.
I love that. So we'll talk more about all that in a little bit, but Adam, you're next. So tell us.
It was summer of 2024 where I got diagnosed with leukemia a weekend after my dirt bike race. And it was about 2.5 hours long. It was very hard for me to finish. So it was like unlike any other race. And next weekend, I got rushed into the ER, and later on, I got diagnosed with leukemia. Yeah, and in
a big way, though.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not sure he even realizes how sick he was still, but you keep going.
And then I got rushed to ICU, and was there for about a week, and then went up to 4 North and was there for 6 weeks, and. Yeah.
Adam almost died. He was very sick. And one thing that I didn't mention that's really special is Adam was as an attending physician, fully trained oncologist, Adam was my first primary patient. So that was really special that I mean, at first it was very terrifying because Adam was so sick, and I just felt like, oh, can I do this? I'm in charge. Should I be in charge? Luckily, his mom didn't know that I was thinking that at the time. But I made sure that I knew what I was doing and got input from other people that were more experienced. And it was very scary because Adam was intubated. He couldn't breathe. He had so much leukemia in his bloodstream that all of his organs were failing. And there was a big chance he could die from like a stroke or some kind of clot. And we started doing chemo, and at first it didn't seem like it was doing anything. And we were hoping that it would make a big change and he would get better. But it took longer than we thought for him to stop needing so much respiratory support and oxygen and all that. But eventually he came around, and there were a few bumps along the way. But he made a big recovery, and he's been doing really well since then. But it was quite the beginning.
My goodness, what a roller coaster for both of you.
Yeah, for sure.
So you talk about the beginnings, like yours is a little fresher, and you've had a little degree of separation from yours. But like you said, you were 19 and a college student, and that life halted. I mean, you really have to stop living like you were. So what was that for each of you?
Well, I had to lose my whole 8th grade year, so that was definitely hard. I had to completely stop racing my dirt bike. Luckily, I can still ride, though. And I lost all my hair. And if you knew anything about me, I was a man of my hair.
Oh, no.
He's got beautiful hair. I hope the viewers can take note. It is back.
Check us out on YouTube.
But yeah, it was just really hard. I lost some friend relationships, and some got weakened for sure. And yeah, it was definitely hard.
How about you, Maggie? Like, what did you feel? What were you like? Were you angry?
I was very angry. And initially, I was more upset about missing college for a little while than I was about cancer. And I don't think at the time I realized how life-threatening the type of cancer I had was. But I was mostly upset that I couldn't go to school because my whole identity for much of my life has been about my career and academics. And I was always, that was me, that was who I was. And to have to take a step back and be me without that was very strange for me, without my accomplishments, without my goals, without my school. It was very strange. And to have a whole year where I not only couldn't go to school, but didn't feel well enough to read a book, like, had so much medications on board that it was very difficult for me to read anything intellectual. It just felt like I wasn't me at all. And then, like Adam said, some friends really abandoned me when I needed them the most, and some friends stuck around. And it was shocking to see which ones, I wouldn't have predicted which ones fled and which ones stayed around. And then just to have to uproot everything for that whole year was very disorienting and strange. And it made me angry. It took me a long time to start being sad and to grieve. I think in some ways I didn't grieve till it was all over.
Well, you probably didn't allow yourself to. I mean, it's a lot for a 19-year-old to have to go through, and a 14-year-old to go through.
Yeah, I think it was too much to confront at the time, really.
Adam, you both have talked about how your relationships dynamic have changed a little bit. So, Adam, did you also did you have a group of friends who stayed close to you? I know you said you lost some. How can it kind of go into how that dynamic changed for you with your diagnosis?
So I went to a small private school, and we kind of had a good friend group just between us, and they would always come and visit me, and we'd laugh, have a good time, and really keep my vibes up, and that really helped me get through it. It was a big help.
So you had friends that would come and visit you. Did they
want to learn more
about
clique?
You had a name for your friend group?
His clique has a name.
We called ourselves the Exclusive Homies.
The Exclusive Homies. Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
They were true friends, the Exclusive Homies. They still are, right? Still good friends.
Oh, yeah.
Now you're getting thrown into this whole medical world of things. Can you talk about also any new relationships that developed through that? I mean, you're coming to Cardinal Glennon, you're going through treatment, you had some scary times, you have some longevity there. I mean, let's see where that goes.
Well, I for sure got an awesome doctor, and all my nurses, everyone who's helped me out has been amazing. Couldn't ask for any better. And yeah, the hospital has just been amazing to me. I couldn't ask for better.
It's awesome to hear. Dr. Maggie, do you have anything to add from your experience? I know you said you had a similar encounter with friend groups.
Definitely. I think the number of friends I lost was far surpassed by the number of relationships I gained while I was sick. And that included my nurses, my doctors. That included so many patients around me and their family members that I was overwhelmed with love that year. And I think that was a huge source of healing for me.
Having a cancer diagnosis, that is life-altering for anybody. And I'm so glad that you both are on this side of it and sharing your experiences with us. But how has this whole experience changed you? How are you different from when you were pre-diagnosis now on the other side?
I almost feel like it gave me more maturity. I really looked deeper into things that happened to me and learned to be more thankful to be here.
Yeah.
I've always sought a connection with God and I've been spiritual, but I think after going through cancer, and certainly this is reinforced by my experience as a physician, my concept of God is just different than it used to be. And some of that is good. Some of that is hard sometimes.
Sure.
And then also, like Adam said, gratitude is huge. I'd like to say, now I'm never upset about stupid stuff and I will never cry about something silly. But that maybe for a minute, that it's so easy to go back to normal. Eventually, it will feel easy. And I find that for me, I'm reminded of how I felt at the end of treatment when I was on the other side and so thankful. I'm reminded of that often when I'm with my patients. And also when I get to share about this. And so having opportunities like this and taking care of my patients really brings me back to that place of, oh, wow, nothing else matters. I just want to go home and be with my kids and my husband and be grateful. Okay, my house is a mess. I'd like to lose 5 pounds, et cetera, whatever. None of that matters. It's really nice to be in a place in life where you get reminded of that a lot.
Yeah.
Do you give yourself permission to still
be silly?
Be silly, yeah, and get worried about little things. You know, not everything has to be big, right? You know, I am certain you are way more mature than you were before you started. You have a wisdom that many of your peers will never have, and that's a good thing, you know.
You're already way more mature than I can remember when I was I was 14.
Yeah. Maybe even now.
Probably.
Now.
Touche.
It's been a brief interaction.
I know. You already know me so well.
I worry about that's not a heavy load on you though, right? I need to be mature now. I have this wisdom and so I can't worry about those little things. You can't, you know.
I think it just comes naturally.
I really struggled. I've always struggled being very hard on myself. And I really struggled and still do sometimes allowing myself to be normal in that way. I'm not allowed to be upset about this. I've been in therapy a lot of my life before cancer and ever since cancer. I'm still in therapy. And a lot of what my therapist has to remind me of is that it's a good thing when I have a normal thing to be upset about. And that I'm allowed to do that. And being not too hard on myself about that. It is a balance, wanting to only care about important things, but also wanting to allow yourself to just be normal and care about silly stuff too.
Yeah.
I will say my ability to be silly and lighthearted, that's not an issue. I feel like that's something I get to do all the time in life, and that's not hard for me. But when I'm upset about something and I know it's not important, that it almost makes me more upset that I'm upset about it.
Yeah.
And spirals. And so that's a problem sometimes.
That's a lot. You both have a lot going on in your brain constantly now that you have this life experience. What are some ways, if you're willing to share with us, that help you to cope with this new normal now that you have been through what you've been through and you know what you know?
I would say therapy, Zoloft, and also just reminding myself of how much my anxiety will not impact anything. Reminding myself, no matter how much I worry about this month or next month or however much I worry about this, it's going to happen or it's not going to happen. And I'm not in control of it. And I'm not going to go there until I need to go there, sort of.
Sure.
So as long as I remain, working on my mental health and stay in a good place with that. I usually don't think about it that much unless there's a really big reason to. But for the most part, I don't think about it all the time because I know it won't impact the outcome.
Is there anything else that you'd say that maybe you've gained? I know you've mentioned your faith, but can you talk about just anything else that you've gained personally throughout this life experience?
Learning how to live in the moment is something I've had to work on because I've always been such a planner. But when I was sick, I had to just sit there all the time. That was hard, to just be there and to just be. I still can't say I'm great at it, but
in progress, right?
And still working on learning how to be present. And certainly being a mother has helped me immensely learn to be present because I cannot not be. We're just there and it's chaos, but it's beautiful chaos. The other big thing for me is obviously my ability to understand my patients a little bit better. And I hope that helps me. I always try to be open with my patients about what I have been through and what I haven't been through because like Adam and I have been through some of the same things, but a lot of different things too. But being able to have some more empathy, I think hopefully helps me be a better doctor.
Did it change your direction at all? Like, I'm real curious. So when you started, you were on a path, like when you went to college and this is I feel like all of us I don't know that every child has a direction and they know what they want to do or they know what they want to be. But, you kind of think about, what you want in your life or, I dream of being married or I dream of, whatever. And you have a path and, sometimes you think you have a straightway path to get here and then you get thrown off the path.
Me personally, my look on my career and life and the future has not really changed much at all.
So what are the future plans for you, Adam?
So my dad owns a structural sheet metal company, and I'm already helping him out in there as much as I can whenever I'm not in school or on the weekends or whenever I can, really. And I find that trade very interesting and very fun to me, and I would like to continue my career into that.
So I don't even know what sheet metal is. What is sheet metal?
Explain to us.
Like gutters, downspouts, edge metal, and all that type of stuff on like the
metal roofs.
Not necessarily, like the pretty looking metal on the edge of roofs.
Oh,
the pretty looking,
the
metal.
pretty part.
Mm-hmm. Okay, okay.
So, how long has your dad been in this business, and how long have you been like watching your dad do sheet metal and stuff?
He's been around it for about 10 years.
Yeah,
and I've really started being more interested in the business since I got diagnosed because when I wasn't in school, I was at the shop.
Yeah.
So that really helped.
What was it like during all of your treatment process with your dad? How was he there for you?
Well, him and my mom would take shifts whenever I'd be up in Fort North, but whenever I'd be in Costas, just outpatient, if he was like working in the area, he'd come by after work and hang out with us until I was done treatment for the day. So that was very nice. We like to say he's my supporter for dirt biking and mom's my big supporter for health. So yeah,
it's a good team there.
Mm-hmm.
Mine, a little bit. I always knew that I was going to be a doctor, that was the plan and the dream and the goal. But it very much threw in a different component of that I wasn't expecting. Like then I knew I needed to be a pediatrician. I needed to be with kids and young people. And I also knew that I needed to be an oncologist. And so it became a much more specific plan. And I really tried not to think about it too much because I wanted to be open in school and training to like what I liked. But it made me know why I liked that field so much. And it made me know for me, it felt like a calling and I had to do it. And it certainly feels like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing when I'm working.
What was the why? Like you say you wanted to be a doctor, but then you knew, I don't know that it was the cancer necessarily, but what pieces of the journey made you said, oh no, kids, for sure.
Oh, because they made me okay.
Cancer.
When I was sick and I was sitting in waiting rooms and sitting around the hospital and feeling bad for myself and wondering if I was going to die and feeling sorry for myself, I decided that it might help me to try to play with the kids and distract them. I was always like the babysitter, in the neighborhood. I always loved kids. And so I started doing that and quickly realized that they were the ones making me feel good. They were distracting me. They had it all together. They were all positive and upbeat, and especially the little ones who have no idea what's going on. They could just be in the moment. And even the ones who seemed to know what was going on, they still could just put it aside and have fun and play and be present. And I learned from them and soaked that up. And also just the amount of emotion and feeling that is involved in everyday interactions in the realm of pediatric oncology between providers and patients and families, it's substantial. There's a lot of need for emotional support and relationship. And that, to me, to combine that with also science is just like the dream of a job. Like, I get to be emotional and listen and talk and feel, and I get to think about science in the same job. So it just feels like the perfect thing for me, not only to feel called because of experience, but based on what I enjoy and my talents, it feels like the perfect thing for me.
So talking about science, this interests me. And I don't know, like, if you have a piece or a fraction or a percentage of your job that needs to be dedicated to research, or you can dabble in it if you want to or whatever. But do you have particular fields that, because of your own personal journey, that you're passionate about?
So while I was sick, I had really, really bad time with nausea, vomiting, to a degree that was debilitating. And so there's been some research that I've done about that, for example. And then also I'm very interested in basically all the bad things that treatment does to the kids we treat in the moment and down the road. And as a survivor, that's where that's coming from too. But just the idea that it's not okay what we do to people. So for, to get cured, like it's not enough. We have to do better. So even if the cure rate is 100%, but you have to go through what Adam just went through, that's not appropriate. So there has to be a better way. So I'm interested in that kind of research. Like, how can we maintain cure rates but keep people in better quality of life throughout their treatment? Because whether they live or die, it's just not acceptable.
So you're specifically talking about the toxicities of the treatments.
Correct.
For oncology. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, because people.
Everyone's obsessed with cure, and that is so important.
Right.
But I'm more thoughtful about
the quality of life during the process,
during and after. Because if you're fighting for this life, what's it going to be?
Yeah,
it's going to be worth fighting for. I hope so.
We talked about that on a previous episode with some of our neonatology colleagues about how
there's a lot of overlap.
We never
there.
used to save 24-week preemies. They didn't make it, and now they're making it.
But at what cost?
We have the technology, but at what cost? What is happening, and what are long-term effects, and how are we helping support families who are needing to support this baby? And everybody's happy we're here, but there's long-term needs and long-term support.
And I think there's some responsibility there. If you're the doctor and you're prescribing these medications, to know what they're going to do and warn to at least be able to predict what might happen. I get that it's the best we can do right now. And I think most people and most families, both the kid and the adult, would agree. I want to be cured. I'm going to do it anyway. But to at least know what that's going to look like. And unfortunately, right now, there are a lot of medications we're using where we have no idea what that's going to look like down the road because they're new. All these immunotherapies, for example. And so the study that I wrote in fellowship that's still ongoing and I'm still involved with at St. Jude right now is looking at late effects in survivors of high-risk neuroblastoma, because these are kids who get basically everything. So they get a lot of chemo, they get immunotherapy, they get surgery and radiation, they get bone marrow transplant. And no one knows really what happens later, especially now that we've added so much immunotherapy into the picture. So, maybe half of them are living, but what are they doing now? So it's looking at acute late effects rather than many studies look at late effects 5-10 years later. But this is looking at right after therapy, the first couple of years after.
I mean, what a beautiful perspective as somebody who's been through a lot of these treatments to actually have that thought that probably not a lot of oncologists, they don't have that experience. My mind is just blown by this right now.
And I would think, Adam, I mean, jump in here. Like, that's probably not anything you're really thinking about right now, right?
Right.
You're happy to not be sick,
Yeah,
not
for
be
sure.
debilitated,
Mhm.
right? Just happy to be here and be with friends and be, that kind of a thing.
Just living day by day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for Jude, my Jude was the same way. And it's just now like 7 years out of treatment where he doesn't really think about those effects either, but he's like, okay, so am I going to get any taller? Like, and we're having, we're starting to have those conversations now. Like,
Here's what that's about.
Here's what that's about. And, that kind of a thing. So I think it happens for everybody at a pace that they're comfortable with,
And you could memorize the rule book of what might happen and at what percent it happens, but no one knows who's the 1%, who's the 20%. You don't know what's going to happen to you and where those things apply to your life. So it's really hard to predict and educate families about that too.
Right. Yeah, for sure. If you had a magic wand, I'm going to ask both of you the same question. What would you do how could we make things better? When it comes to
Can we take away cancer?
Not so much the disease. I know. I would love to take it away. But is there anything more we can do better as we're dealing with families in crisis, right? They're coming in for is there anything that we don't have or that we should talk about more or anything like that?
I wish we had enough funding. So all you donors out there, listen to this.
Oh, she knows it's a foundation podcast. Here we go.
I wish we had enough money that everyone being treated would have free housing if they didn't live locally, and additional support for all financial needs, because so many families don't have endless funds, and especially if a family member can't work that year, et cetera. So I wish we had more financial support for families, especially those who already start at a baseline of having not enough.
Yeah, because the medical treatment isn't the only thing that needs to be cared for with a family and a
There are
patient.
actually a lot of studies now. People are doing more studies on the socioeconomics of health, and specifically in pediatric oncology. And they've proved it in several different pediatric cancers now that patients who are in a lower socioeconomic bracket have worse outcome as far as cure. So patients who are richer get cured more. We don't understand why yet, so this study is just a correlation, but it's concerning for sure. And it makes you feel that much more worried about the people who, start out at the time of diagnosis with not having much to begin with.
The anxiety for the whole family is it's insane. I wish it could go down, but obviously it can't with how much gets put on your shoulders at the right time.
You mean your mom? She's in the back of the room looking like, I know he's talking about me now. I told him once, she's a mom, she's going to do that. You have to give her some slack.
Yeah.
Now that I'm a mom, I'm crazy too. You can't get past it.
Well, it's like you've spoken about the levels of uncertainty. I mean, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
So Adam, with everything that has gone on in your life, with all of these changes, the medical diagnosis, the outcomes, how have you coped with everything, that all of this new information, this life experience that you have had?
The dirt biking really plays a big part in it. Like my racing, it's just the adrenaline that it gives to me it's an escape for me.
Does it have anything to do with the really cool shirt you're wearing? Can you tell us about this? It says
It does.
Adam's Pit Crew.
Yeah,
Tell us what that shirt's all about.
Well, when we go to races, we need people to help out the racer, fuel the bike up, fix it up before the race. And that's showing that everybody wants to be my pit crew.
So that's your personal group of people who are close to you is your pit crew.
Right.
What's a day in the life of a dirt bike race for you? What's that look like?
Well, we wake up, and the moment we wake up, heart rate's already rising through the roof because the adrenaline is rising that much.
You didn't tell me this part, Adam. It's heart rate. Okay, keep going.
And we arrive at the track and, just start fixing the bike up, getting it ready, and get geared up. And we have practice heats and mains. Heat will determine where we start in the main.
Okay.
And we do that, and then we race it out and see who wins. Fastest man gets the trophy.
How long? I mean, is this like an all-day thing? What's the timeline look like for you for a race day?
I actually do 2 different types of racing. One, hare scramble, which is in the woods. Those usually start at like 9 in the morning and will go to like 12, 1-ish, somewhere on there. And another type of race I do is TT, or other known as flat track. It's one right-hander and a jump. So it's mainly just turning left and going as fast as you can. But those are like all night, but you get breaks because the tracks light it. And
well, I'm glad they put lights out.
I'm glad he didn't tell me all this earlier on in his treatment course.
It's the TT is a lot better for like if you want to, hang out with friends and stuff. It's a lot more like friend based. You can hang out more than hare scramble day.
Hare scramble. So I mean, because there's probably not space to hang out near the track very much. It can be
right.
It's going through the woods. You're like watching out for tree branches and stuff. Like, oh my goodness.
Are there hares scrambling? Is that like rabbits? That's why they call it that?
It might be. I don't know, actually.
I was thinking like your luscious locks that you were concerned inside your helmet that's scrambling up your hair.
That could be it too. Yeah.
And we didn't really ask you. We asked Adam. How about you? How did you cope during? I mean, your coping, I feel like, continues, right? I mean,
oh yes,
we're all doing it our whole life for different reasons,
I'm
right?
Coping with a lot of loss right now, involved with being a doctor, like losing patients or patients suffering. I pick that up a lot. I feel that I'm very much an empath, and sometimes I feel other people's feelings and have to deal with that after work as well. So for me, during treatment, I really got into writing, and I've always liked to journal a little bit. When I was sick, it became a big project. I started keeping up with a little blog just to update family and friends about the day-to-day, but then I realized that it really helped me to write, so I wrote almost every day. And in my conversations with my grandfather, who was a retired Christian philosophy professor, we began to write letters to one another, and I would talk about my doubts about God and my anger towards God and struggling to conceptualize how this world could exist with God, if God is good. And he would respond to me with letters and use different philosophies from Tolkien and C.S. Lewis and really great writers, and helped me find a way to believe still, in spite of everything, and to understand a different way of faith. So the writing, the philosophy lessons were great too, but also the writing and the reflecting really helped me process what I was going through, and I think heal, to storytell and to write about it. And moving forward in my life, I've done a lot of writing and still write often. Most recently, I'm having an article published soon about a patient who passed away, and that experience, because it was a little baby who sucked on a pacifier all the time, and it reminded me very much of my son who sucks on a pacifier all the time. So a lot of feelings that arise because I can imagine what that mother must feel because of my love for my baby. But when I was done with my treatment and I went back to school, and actually it happened when I went to medical school, I was able to publish a book, a collection of my journal entries, kind of intercalated with my grandfather's letters to me. And so you can sort of see our dialogue back and forth. So I actually have it right here. I have the book right here. It's called Why God, Suffering Through Cancer into Faith. And the cover, I should note, is a picture of me in treatment with a friend. So here's me, the crying one at the bottom, the bald one. Here's the other bald one. This is my friend Odie. So Odie was 13, I was 19. So he was sort of like a little brother figure in treatment. And he was one of the kids I met in the waiting rooms who encouraged me a lot. Odie knew that he was going to die for a long time. And when I met him, I remember him telling me that he was probably going to die. And even though he was only 13, he was wise beyond his years, and he taught me a lot. We spent a lot of time together. And I wanted to put him on the cover because we became so close. And I got to have a really special conversation with him when he was in the hospital, probably like a few weeks before he died, because he eventually went home on home hospice. And before he went on home hospice and was in the hospital, I went to visit him. It's one of these situations where like patients aren't supposed to go in other patients' rooms because of the germs. And he had some infection. So I was like wearing a gown and a mask and all the stuff and gloves. And they were like, she can go in, but don't tell anyone. My doctor was like telling the nurses, just ignore it. Pretend you didn't see it. So they let me get in there with him. And I sat by his bed and talked. And I think it's in the book. But basically, I told him that I was so glad that I got to meet him. And be friends with him. And he said that getting to be friends with me and know me was so worth it, that he wouldn't take back the cancer, that it was so special to be friends. And I said, I really, really always going to try to help kids like you. And I just remember that he said, well, first of all, he told me to stop crying. I was the one crying here. He's the one dying. And he told me, I know you will, Maggie. I know that's what you're going to do. And so when I think of him, I imagine that he's like sitting there just nodding and being sure that he knew all along that this was what I was going to get to do. I don't think about him every day, but I think about him often, especially when I'm thinking about other patients that don't get to survive. And it makes me just really want to like live and like make every day meaningful, take care of people with my whole heart, put everything into it. And, I don't always get to make giant changes. Like I'm probably not going to be someone who cures something, like cures cancer or cures a type of cancer from my research. But I know that sometimes being there and having a relationship is what people need the most. And I feel like that's the part that I know that I can do.
It is what they need the most. So I'll ask you that same question. Would you take it back?
Oh, no. I would never take it back. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was the best thing that's happened to me other than my husband and my children. It definitely made me a lot of who I am now. And I don't know of a better way to spend my life, honestly. I don't know what I would want to do or who I'd want to be if I didn't get to do this.
Adam, would you take it back?
I don't think I would either. With the amazing people I've met on the way, it's an honor.
Well, I tell you what, I could not meet two more resilient people. I'm proud to share this time with you. And to close, there's this one quote that I really like. It's from Oprah. Not that whatever.
She says profound things.
I feel like she does say profound things. But anyway, it's from Oprah, and it says, we can't become what we need to be by remaining what we are. And I feel like that's appropriate. I feel like we're all supposed to be something, and you are clearly supposed to be where you are at right now. But I don't know that you would be here. Maybe you wouldn't have been a pediatric oncologist if it weren't for your experience. And I feel like, Adam, your journey is better because of someone like Maggie, guiding you through it. And if it's okay, I'd love to say, I'm not a pastor or whatever, but I'd love to say a little prayer for the two of you if you're open to that.
Both of us are the type that pray, so
okay.
We're good
and
with
I got to put my glasses on because I'm old and I can't see.
It's just a number, Laura.
But it's okay. They're probably all crooked, but that's okay.
No,
I don't really care. Okay. Life isn't a straight line all the time, right? And we just have to keep adapting, which you both have done. And I pray for you both as you keep learning from your experiences. I pray for you, Maggie, after fighting your own battle as you now walk beside young people in their fight. I hope that your compassion heals others in the unique ways that only a lived experience can. And Adam, I hope this season shapes you in ways of strength and empathy and courage that will one day bless others who need your voice, who need your kindness and your example. And I hope both of your lives continue to be filled with as much or more resilience as you've experienced and purpose, and a whole lot of grace. You're both very much an inspiration to me, and I am very grateful that you joined us here today.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you so
much.
much
Thank
for
you.
sharing.
And Adam, I am very grateful that you're my patient and that our paths got to cross, even though it's not been in a fun way for you.
Right.
I'm really thankful to get to know you and your family.
I'm fortunate for you to be my doctor as well. Of course.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Glennon Factor. Make sure you follow The Glennon Factor and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. Visit glennon.org if you would like to learn more about how you can support Cardinal Glennon kids. And while you're there, feel free to share any feedback or episode suggestions on our podcast page. The Glennon Factor is recorded and produced by SSM Health Cardinal Glennon Children's Foundation.